Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Again, as I always say, thank you for joining me. I got a special shoe today, one of those ones where you gotta have it, but then I feel like some of y'all don't really want it. It's weird, but I'll get into it after we take a look at the box. Now I gotta say, I absolutely love when Jordan Brand does this. They gave us a themed box. The box matches the shoe. That's a chef's kiss touch. I love it. Size tag reads Air Jordan 1 Retro High OG, Taxi, Black, and Sail. I told you, Jordan Brand loves that sail. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to present to you the Air Jordan 1 Taxi, aka Yellow Toe. Man, listen, there's a lot to say and not very much to say about this shoe all wrapped up in one. But let me get into some of the details about the shoe first, and then we'll talk about the shoe and the things surrounding it shortly thereafter. On the bottom, you have that taxi colored traction pad, the same traction pad that's synonymous with the Air Jordan 1. Nothing different about that. Flipping it up, the midsole is that sail colored midsole, not a pure white, but a sail. And I think it complements the actual colors of the shoe very nicely. Again, this would be technically the bread toe color blocking of like the Jordan 1. You have the black on the front and the actual color of the shoe, the base shoe, up on the toe cap. On the bottom, you have that same taxi colorway as well as the strap here, and you also have the black up on the collar. On both the lateral and medial side, you have a sail colored upper with a nice black Nike swoosh. Black nylon tongue, white tag with Nike Air written in taxi for the colorway. Black ball and wings logo, which is embossed on this particular shoe. Insoles that taxi colorway with the black Nike Air, and I believe this is the black polyurethane insole. I'm not quite sure. If you guys want to know tech specs like that, hit up Wear Testers and watch Nightwing's videos. He tells you all about stuff like this. As far as material goes, this one's okay. I like the material. I like the way the sheen, the look, and the finish of the material looks. Now, the thing about it is we equate softness with quality. And I don't know how we came to come to that conclusion that softness equates to quality when not necessarily it doesn't. For example, the Georgetown ones have some of the stiffest leather, but I believe that's very good quality for a Jordan 1. Not to mention there are shoes in my arsenal, namely the Lucky Greens or the Jordan 1 Obsidians that have a softer, better feeling leather than what's on this shoe. But the shoe is still nice in its own, and I like the black toe. The black toe color blocking is one of the best color blockings I think Jordan Brand puts out. And this hint of yellow, this hue of yellow that's on this shoe is something to talk about. Now, I want to also give you the actual consistency of the leather, except it's pretty inconsistent. I actually saw a couple of cases on Twitter, and it happens to be some of the case in my particular instance where even the leather on both the medial side or the lateral side don't quite match, where one's absolutely super smooth and the other one is like kind of tumbled. Hopefully the camera will pick up the differences, but especially on the top of the mid here, you can see where the leather is a little bit more tumbled. It seems to be a lot smoother on the other shoe. And guys, I promise this was a pickup from the shock drop that happened on the sneakers app. Now, as far as the rest of the material is concerned, on the toe cap, coming up to the eye stays and around the collar, it is a nice smooth leather. And I think that highlights the shoe, really brings out some of the quality and character of the shoe itself. Same is to be said with the swoosh on the actual shoe. Important to note, a single solitary black cotton lace. There are no spare laces that come with this shoe. Be careful. If you see any reviews, any pictures, anything floating around on Instagram, Twitter, where you had these shoes with these extra laces, there are no spare laces with these shoes. Do with that information as you will. So as far as the shoe is concerned, I mean, that's pretty much it. When you start reviewing these Jordan 1s, you come to find that there's not much to write home about as far as different or exceptional, details and quality. One Jordan 1 is just like another Jordan 1. A lot of times it's a different colorway, which is why to me the most important thing is the story. And talking about this particular shoe is a big story to tell. Not necessarily filled with lush history and nostalgia, but it's got a lot of things to talk about. And let's get right into it. First and foremost, some of the most obvious comparisons for this shoe are the pollen ones and I don't have the shattered backboards. The shattered backboards, the same shattered backboards that everyone uses as a benchmark, as a measuring stick for what high quality, premium, soft leather is supposed to feel like. That's the comparison to this shoe. Now, I wish I did have it, not just only because I want to compare it, it's a high dollar shoe, but I do like the shade of orange that's on that shoe. That being said, I don't think the shoe materials feel the same between that shoe and this particular shoe like at all. I think this one has more up-to-date materials and quality that Jordan Brand intended to put out, and the shattered backboard stuff is kind of just in its own little world, forever being vaulted by the sneaker guys as the grail of all grail for leathers. Again, more recently, the Pollens, which recently came out, is the most recent yellow shoe prior to this one that we've had. And as you can see, these are wildly different yellows. The Taxi actually has more of an orange hint to it than what's on the Pollens. Now, because the Pollens exist, a lot of people feel like this shoe wasn't kind of necessary. But if I'm honest, I mean, they serve different purposes. One, of course, being, that reverse Chicago color blocking, and this one being the bread toe color blocking. There is a point of having both these shoes, in my opinion. They do serve different purposes. Now, the reason why this shoe may or may not have been sought after is because there are a plethora of yellow shoes that go for high money on the aftermarket. Some of those being the initial one, which I don't remember what year that shoe came out, but the famous band Shinedown had a Connect with Jordan brand, and they actually got their own PE. They got their own version of a shoe that is similar in the color blocking to this, but I think the yellow was a lot more lighter, maybe a tour yellow colorway with their band logo right here on the side. Then, of course, again, you have the shattered backboards, which, again, although they are orange, does bear some striking similarity to this shoe. And of course, we have the yellow ochres, the old love, new love Jordan 1 mids that have a yellow colorway in them that a lot of people love. And this is another one in the arsenal that people, I think, are gonna really wanna have. But all that being said, we have this mentality that if a shoe is easy to obtain or if it's in large quantities, we don't want it anymore. And that's the difficulty I have with the sneaker community as a whole. The shoe is nice, the materials are good, the story behind it is whatever you want it to be. But again, this is one of the better Jordan 1s to release this year and maybe one of the better Jordan 1s to release in the last several years. But because this shoe is accessible so far, people don't particularly think they have to have this shoe. And unfortunately, I have to gauge how people feel about the shoe by the resale price. At the end of the day, the shoes are gonna sell out. Make no mistake about that. But the supply and demand is sometimes what you can tell to dictate whether or not the shoe has a high value to it. High value to it. So one interesting thing that Nike did was make this shoe available via shock drop. And sometimes I miss it. I'm not always up to the date on things, but I can't remember a shock drop prior to this one and maybe all this year. Again, don't quote me on that. Rumor had it, which may still be true because the shoe is slated to come out, I believe, on the 24th of this month. I can't quite remember. But again, rumor has it that shock drop was the entire inventory of men's shoes to be released via sneakers. So a lot of people were thinking that Jordan Brand and Nike and sneakers have emptied their entire load during the shock drop and this shoe would no longer be available by those means. However, a few hours later, this shoe, the toddler size, the preschool, the big kids size, the crib booties, they all have made their way to the sneakers app, and I believe are gonna have a full-size run that will drop on its original intended date. So all is not lost if you want this shoe, even if you have to pay resale for the shoe. They're not beating you upside the head with the prices. Again, supply and demand just kind of, it's a wonky thing. I'm not quite sure why this shoe is so low in price, but listen, I said this before, that's a great thing. It's never a bad thing to be able to get a shoe that you want that's easily obtainable for a decent price. So that was pretty quick and painless. And with all that, I mean, that's pretty much a shoe. Not a whole lot to talk about, right? Again, you've seen one Jordan 1, you've seen them all. What I can do is the same thing I do all the time. I'm gonna go outside, put these guys on feet, maybe give you some lace swap options because the yellow in this is kind of hard to match with what I have in existing colorways, but I'll do my best. Again, no spare laces. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are able to cop when the release date comes. Off the top of my head, I think it's September 24th. Don't quote me on that though. I appreciate you guys for sticking in there with me. Let's go outside. Until the next one, I'm Jay Shoe Fanatic. Hit the subscribe button, guys. I'm out. That's slow. Oh, the original cut. There it absolutely is. I might like it better than the 2020 version. And I had